What is up, everybody? It is your local Ottawa fan, and I am here today to talk to you about the 4-0 win over the Boston Fleet. I know you're thinking, really, your local Ottawa fan? Now you're talking to us. Let's just say I was busy. I'll admit it, and yes, I want to do another video during this break. It's a long break that we have between now and the next Charge game. The next PWHL game is not until April 26th, so there's a long break. But during that break, a few things are going to happen. Number one, the Ottawa Senators have clinched a playoff spot, and I am over the moon. Separate video. That's a separate video where I'm going to talk about the Sens making the playoffs. But I just want to use this as sort of an introduction to the bigger overarching theme of hopefully this season. For those of you who watch me year round, who also stick around for the CFL content, you would know that there was another drought that, in my opinion, was just as painful, even though it was about half as long. When you look at how many teams make the league in the CFL, you shouldn't miss the playoffs for 4 straight seasons, 5 straight years. That just shouldn't happen. And yet it did, but no more. You know, we made it in 2018, then missed 2019, 2020 didn't happen, 2021 we missed, 2022 we missed, 2023 we missed, 2024, November of 2024, the Ottawa Redblacks brought playoff football back. Not technically to the city of Ottawa, but to the city of Ottawa. Yes, their playoff game was in Toronto, but nonetheless, the city of Ottawa was watching. We had a playoff game. We had a playoff team. And if you go and watch my video where I talk about us making the playoffs, you're going to see some emotion. There's going to be some emotion when I talk about the Sens. And hopefully there's going to be some emotion when I talk about the Charge, because this was a super pivotal game. And I mean, of course it happened like this, right? I say we need to win the back-to-back. With Minnesota. We don't. We split. I say we need to win the back-to-back against New York. We don't. We have a 3-0 lead going into the third. We split. And going into Boston, I'm like, you know what? Just get one. Go into the break, down a point, even 2 points. You know, be able to catch up to Minnesota. You've got a game against them. You can win your season then and there. Or just go back-to-back. We went into the first game against Boston, down 1-0, came out with a 2-1 thrilling victory. And then we had this game where we went into the third period up 3-0, and this time they didn't give up 6 goals in a period. They did their job. They did so well, in fact, that the Charge could have let in every single shot that they faced in the third period, and they still would have won even if we didn't score in the third. They had a great third period. I thought they had a great game, frankly. I thought Ottawa improved as the game went along. Even though we didn't get as many goals in the third, I thought that our third period was our best period because we really shut down Boston. Boston kind of looked deflated. Very different from the New York game where they should have looked deflated, and yet they more than rallied back. They completely walked all over us. This was the opposite. And after that Darkangelo goal, well, the game wasn't over. We're gonna get into it because a lot happened, and there was a few reasons why I also delayed, which is I wanted to see what would come out of the situation that happened in the third, and I wanted to wait for the break to start, and I wanted to see. Are the Sens going to clinch, early? Are they going to clinch within their final 4 or 5 games? If it was going to take till like a game 82, I would obviously be making this video like not at game 82. I'd still be making it at around the same time. But the reason why I'm bringing all of this up is to say that the Charge are really close. They got 3 games left. They are a point ahead of Minnesota, a point behind Boston. They have a shot at third. They got a game against Minnesota. Boston and Ottawa actually have similar schedules in terms of the team that they face. We face Montreal, Minnesota, Toronto, and they face Toronto, Montreal, Minnesota. So because Ottawa, Boston, and Minnesota are in such a tight race, and Boston has a game against Minnesota, Minnesota has a game against Ottawa, it makes for an interesting end. And it keeps us as masters of our own fate. We are ahead of Minnesota. If we beat Minnesota and we win another game, that would put us in regulation. One of them has to be a regulation win. But if we get... no, I think they both would need to be regulation and mathematically clinch. But all of this to say, we could clinch as early as our second last game. Our last home game, we could clinch, then get dog walked by Toronto, and it wouldn't matter. We have an opportunity to clinch. We have an opportunity to surpass Boston. Surpassing Toronto is a bit more of a stretch. I don't think that's going to happen. To be fair, going into the back-to-back against Boston, I thought that we weren't going to be able to catch up. And here we are. We got the 6 points. They got the 0 points. And all of a sudden, a 7-point lead that Boston had has shrunk to a 1-point lead. I've liked our play as of late. I felt like we had a bad start, and the second half of the season was a lot better. And so that's where my hope is kind of coming from. We have played... there have been some stinkers. 5-0 loss to Minnesota. 6-3 against New York. Don't get me wrong. We've had bad games. We've had good games. 8-3. This game was a really good game. A 4-0 win. That's solid. We got no scoring at the start of the season. We're starting to get some scoring. Some points. I got this... obviously, Cheyenne Darkangelo had a great night against her former team, which is fitting. Earlier in the season, Boston kind of had our number. I remember I was at the game where I just scored that empty netter. I haven't seen the video because I don't think I could stomach it. Or at least when it came out, I wouldn't have been able to stomach it. Maybe now would be a little bit different. But apparently, Adja was laughing at us after that. Brutal. Well, look who's laughing now. Because Darkangelo faces her former team and drops a Hattie in a 4-0 win. That's a bit more impressive than an empty netter. Vanni Shova, of course, is Vanni Shova. I've said it before. I'll say it again. She really does deserve MVP considerations. Oh, but she doesn't have, the most points. Well, maybe not, but it's not the most points award. It's the most valuable player, and she is beyond valuable in terms of her offensive production. And I get that, there's lots of penalties, but also there's lots of penalties. She sticks up for her team. And speaking of, okay, we gotta go into it. So, we gotta go into it. We'll go period by period. The third period is obviously what everyone wants to hear about. Right off the bat, we immediately go on a power play, and I thought the second was okay with penalties. Third, oh boy. I had to take a clip of the total penalties of the game. First period, there was one penalty. It came 38 seconds into the game, or 31 seconds into the game. Second period, no penalties. For the two most penalized teams in the league, it was looking really good, and then the bottom fell out. But that first penalty, 31 seconds into the game, was extremely costly for Boston because just 45 seconds into the game, Cheyenne Darkangelo scores 1-0. Ottawa leads. That's the game-winning goal. Yeah, you could have turned the game off after 45 seconds and you would have seen the game-winning goal. If you only caught the first minute of this game and then you had to go do something else, and you say, oh, I wonder who scored the game winner. No, you don't wonder. You saw it with your own eyes. That, I think that's got to be the fastest game-winning goal in Charge history. Maybe PWHL history. I'm not a stat nerd. Okay, that's a lie. I'm a stat nerd. I'm a big stat nerd. I'm not somebody who's really good at creating charts, though. I'm not able to, go and find all the information and document it. So somebody who is able to do that, please let me know. because I would look at a chart if I could, like, just click a few buttons and then say, okay, here we go. Every single game-winning goal in order of time scored, like the timestamp that it was scored in. 45 seconds into a game to score, not just to score a goal. Is this the fastest goal in PWHL history? No. But this was the game-winning goal in under a minute. I mean, no complaints there. Especially in a game where you didn't win 1-0. You won 4-0. It was a very convincing win. And I thought the first period was a bit more back and forth in terms of chances, but not in terms of play. Boston got a breakaway right after, but then we take control of play. Phillips didn't have to face too many super dangerous chances, but there were a few. She came up big when she needed to. She secured her second shutout. Like, that's huge, especially as a rookie. To have multiple shutouts as a rookie in this league, it's nuts. Again, I hate to say it, but like right now, I'd start her against Montreal, no questions asked. No matter who's available, I think she's our go-to right now. She's the hot hand. I think you got to stick with her. I think you got to stick with her regardless of who is or isn't healthy. And I love Mashmeyer. I'm Mashmeyer's like biggest fan. But I say you play Phillips until she loses. Sure, after a loss, put in Mashmeyer. But until she drops the game, I say, woof. The past 2 games against Boston, she let in, what, 1 goal? Hard to argue with that. Irregardless of how many shots she faced. You put the 2 games together. To play 120 minutes, only allow 1 goal. She's done good. And she gets the stop on the break that Boston gets. Then, like I said, a lot of zone control, pressure, not a lot of chances. We controlled play, I felt, for the most part in the first period. I felt a few times, though, that Boston had the puck, they took their shots. I think shots were pretty even at the end of the first, but it felt like we were outplaying them, like, by twice as much. Maybe that's my biased view of things. I am a biased fan. But I felt like we were outplaying them, but they were making use of the opportunities that they got, taking shots, testing the goaltender, whereas we weren't necessarily testing the goaltender. We were getting the zone time, getting the pressure, and it was like, oof. I've seen that before. I've seen that where we have a good first period, we don't test the goaltender maybe as much as we should, we leave the first period up 1-0, and you are a little worried. You think, oh man, I hope that we play a full 60 like this, that we don't have one of those, patented charge periods. Say that 5 times fast. Patented charge periods where, we just disappear. We were up 1-0 in the first. Oops, second period, we don't show up and we go into the third down 3-2. That kind of thing. Don't want that to happen. Thankfully, that didn't happen. We almost got another goal within the first minute. McMahon, who, there's a few players who I have not sung their praises enough. Nextner, Savalainen, and McMahon are players that come to mind where I feel like I'm not talking enough about them in my videos. And, are they like, the flashiest, biggest names? Maybe not. But that's oftentimes not what you need and not what's going to win you games, win you playoff games, win you championships. It's those players who aren't going to get you, 20, 30 goal seasons maybe, or 20, 30 point seasons, but will be consistent, will be consistently good. Will get you the smart play that you need, the good play that you need. McMahon has been a player like that for me. Where, McMahon is currently at, 8 points in 27 games? But that's not the most elite play. She is a +4, though. She's a +4. When she's on the ice, good things happen. And that's, so yes, it goes off the post, but it's that kind of thing where, A, it's not always going to go off the post, and B, like, that's generating a high danger chance. Savalainen and Mexner, I also feel, slot into that, maybe not the flashiest names, but I see them play. And whenever I see them play, I'm thinking, wow, they're good. Whenever I see them on the ice, I'm like, okay, we got this. I feel like a sense of comfort almost. And I haven't said that enough in my videos. So, if you're watching, I see you. And you're doing great. And I love it. 2 thumbs up. Your local Ottawa fan beyond approves. That I think their play has been great. And I haven't said it enough. And here McMahon almost scores. Misses off the post. Then a really bad giveaway. A classic bad giveaway that leads to a break for Boston. And Phillips is up to the task. Again, maybe tasting a little different. Would you look at that? This is a goal all the time for the Ottawa. This is the type of play that the Charge gets scored on all the time. Huge save by Phillips to keep us up 1-0. And it feels like both teams are only getting a little bit of offensive zone time, that they aren't generating extended pressure. And then, who was I saying? Savalainen, drop pass to Darkangelo with a snipe. She does not miss. Goal. Ottawa leads 2-0, and then we got a whole lot of nothing. I'm talking an extremely long, and I mean extremely long, play. And what do I mean by play? I mean, there's no whistle. There is just it's going. Time is draining, which is kind of like up to nothing. It's kind of good, right? But you want a bit more padding before you start draining clock. 3-0. I would feel good if it wasn't for a certain game. But we do get a whistle. Why do we get a whistle? Because Jinsey Rose caps off the period. Little less than 5 minutes to go. She scores. And now all of a sudden it is a 3-0 game. And I felt like in that second period, we upped our game. I felt like maybe we didn't hold the puck as much, but Boston didn't get back into the game, and that's what we needed. And we tripled our lead. We went into the second, up 1, went into the third, up 3, and Boston didn't generate much. That's what you want to see. And Frankel, who I thought didn't play that badly, and early in the game, she actually robbed Serdachny. It's like, it was mind-boggling. It was a great save. I didn't think she was having that bad of a game. Boston does not start her for the third period. Okay, let's see what you got, Boston. I'm sorry, but Boston has Frankel. I sing the praises of Maschmeyer, but what's one of the things that I'm always upset about? That she's overplayed. I say she's overplayed because I think that we have in our system other goaltenders up to the task, like Gwyneth Phillips, who I think is more than proving herself. I'm somebody who genuinely believes you could split the season down the middle 50-50 between Phillips and Maschmeyer, and it wouldn't be a significant hit on our win total. Boston does not have... If you put somebody not named Frankel in net for 15 games, you would lose 14 games if you're Boston. I genuinely believe that. Frankel, I think, is really the starter in Boston. I think it's a lot more definitive. I think it's more definitive than almost any other team on the league. Is Frankel the best goalie in the league? Maybe not. But is she the most bona fide number one for her team? In my opinion, I honestly think she is. I think was it Soderbergh? I'm trying to remember the name, and it's just all I could think of is Frankel was having a good game. That's what I was thinking the whole time. To the point that I had to go back and be wait, no, Frankel didn't make that save, because it's just automatic for me. If I see Boston playing, I'm so Frankel's in net, right? It's got to be her, right? You wouldn't put in anyone else unless she has a really bad night or is injured. For me, I wouldn't pull Frankel until 4-0 personally. Personally, I wouldn't pull her unless it's 3 goals on 10 shots or 4-0. But I am not the head coach of a professional women's hockey league team. There's a reason for that. They put in the backup, And it doesn't work out for Boston. It works out for us. We have some silky mitts by Clark. There is a big save, so like I don't want to feel like I don't want to discredit anyone in this league. Everyone deserves to be here. I really want to credit Frankel. Is more what I'm trying. I'm trying to say like she is great. She's elite, and I personally thought Boston did her dirty. Like, you know, the shots were not that crazy. It was 16 shots. She allowed 3 goals. Like, that's not the best. But is that really, like, you pulled her over that? She was having an alright game. I thought it was a little early, and I don't know what happened in the locker room, but if Frankel wasn't 100% down with that decision, I'd feel disrespected if I was her. Still a great save on Emily Clark. Doesn't matter who's in the net. It was a great save. I'm just saying, you don't want to disrespect Frankel. Could you imagine if Frankel doesn't? I know she feels appreciated. I'm just saying, I wouldn't have done it. I thought she was doing okay, and I thought the goals weren't always necessarily her fault. Like, it happens. But yes, some silky mitts get robbed, but I thought we had a dominant start. And things do get vicious. Things start to get chippy. Things start to get a little out of hand. Boston takes a bad penalty on a very needless holding call on Vinny Chabot. I don't know what Boston was arguing. That was so blatant. Like, and it was you could tell in the third period it was heating up. The hits were getting big, loud. It was starting to get nasty. You were starting to say, oh, these are the 2 most penalized teams in the league, aren't they? So we go on the power play for like a second before we take a needless tripping call, and then it's 4-on-4, and Serdachny makes the pass of the year. It is amazing. It is beautiful. It is right to guess who? Cheyenne Darkangelo, right back in Boston. She scores 4-0. Ottawa, get rid of your hat because that's a hat trick. Oh, don't worry, I got a spare one, but that's a hat trick for Darkangelo, who gets our 3rd hat trick of the year. Again, where was this in the first half of the season? We've now had 3 hat tricks. 3. That is amazing. The team has found another, and whenever we score 4 goals, we win, and we've done that a few times now. This is what you want to be seeing from the team. This is what I was You go back to one of those early season losses where it was like 2-1 or something, and I was losing my mind and saying, "Where's the score?" Here it is. This is what I was asking for. Asking you shall receive, because it was here. It was great, and now we gotta talk about it. I tried to avoid it. We need to talk about everything. After the play, it was all Ottawa until the dumbest moment in PWHL history, bar none. Bar none. The most embarrassing moment in PWHL history, bar none. Mueller with a hit on Vasco, who goes down, but not injured. And then, I can't remember who it was that first hit Mueller, but then Zoe Boyd cross-checks right to the head. Now, I liked the standing up for the teammate. I thought the hit was a little late. Vasco was looking down. It wasn't to the head. At first, when I first saw it, I thought it was to the head, and I was like up in arms. And then I saw the replay. We all saw the replay about 1,000,000 times. It was not to the head. Was the hit legal? I didn't think that it fully was. I'm also biased. So, you know what? Let's say it was. It was still kind of a cheap shot, you know? I don't blame Zoe Boyd for wanting to go after Mueller for, hitting a player whose head was down, who didn't really have full control of the puck. Like, come on. Come on. Hit her with a check. Throw a check. Again, I appreciate Zoe Boyd for sticking up for the team. And the way that the penalties have been called, like there was a bunch of big hits this game. There was a few times where I was like, how is that not boarding? Like, how is that not charging or boarding or something? There were a bunch of big hits in the third. I love big hits, but even I was like, okay, like we're gonna call something, or is this just gonna be how you're gonna let the game play? Like really, like we're not calling anything here. Okay, when refs don't call stuff, players make you answer. And I get it, there's no fighting, but come on, there's fighting, you know? There's the not punching but grabbing after the play. The hey, you know, you're like this with the other player's kind of got their arms on you, you give them a little shove. We should have been something a little more akin to that. Not a cross check to the head. Zoe Boyd gets a game suspension for that. She gets 5 in a game and a game suspension, and she's going to be missed against Montreal. So I hope that we can come out swinging. But she doesn't quite get 5 in a game, does she? Because it's over 10 minutes. Vasco is in the box at first. She's like the one player who did nothing except get hit. She is the most innocent in all of this. They have Vasco in the box reviewing the play. Okay, good. They'll review it. They'll see that it's actually Zoe Boyd who should, get the 5 minutes in a game. They'll take Vasco out of the box and they'll call it. Well, okay. In the review, they say Mueller should go to the box. So she does. Now, it's taken a little while at this point, and they tell Vasco to leave. So, to be clear, we started Vasco in the penalty box. Then Mueller came. Then Vasco left. So we've already had 2 changes to the situation, okay? Then Mueller leaves the box. Now you can imagine when Mueller gets sent, that second change, the fans are a little upset in Boston. Wait, no, Mueller was the first change going to the box. The second change is, when Vasco leaves the box, the fans are incensed in Boston. They're like, how are we the only team getting a penalty? I agree. Like, no, both teams, getting a penalty. I agreed with the call that they ultimately made. I didn't agree with the style. So now Mueller's out of the box. Then Zoe Boyd, 5 in a game. She exits. And then they put Mueller back in the box. And this whole process took over 10 minutes. That's Bush League. That's like, I'm sorry, that's Bush League. And it makes the league look bad. And when you're a new league establishing yourself, you can't have that happen. Especially when some guy sitting on his couch, watching the game on his phone, or on his TV, or on his laptop. Because I watched the game live on my phone, and then I rewatched it on my TV. Especially that specific part, to really break down what was going on over that entire time. And I have no answer. Especially watching it on my TV, I was like, okay, so what I saw on my phone is the same as on the TV. Again, I think they got the call right. That's the call I would have made. I would have called roughing on Mueller, and I would have said 5 in a game for Boyd. And I would have said, there we go. 4-on-4 for 2 minutes, a 3-minute power play. You know what the funniest part is? The rest of the game, Boston didn't register a shot. So all of this was completely meaningless. The rest of the penalty side of things didn't matter. The game ends 4-0. Phillips says, have to face a shot. I think we registered like 1 shot after all of this. We did a very good job of just not letting them get anything, of blocking shots. And also you could tell at some point that, Boston was down 4. There's like 6 minutes left. They got the hint. They weren't winning this one. But the mess it took to get to Boyd 5 in a game, Mueller 2 minutes, was absurd. It was almost as long as the game left. By that I mean, like, if you were to drop the puck when they started reviewing the play and play were to go on, nobody gets a whistle. By the time they actually finished the review and Boyd was out and Mueller was in the box, the game would basically be done. We wasted 10 plus minutes on something that I looked at on my phone, and within 2 to 3 minutes, I was like, so 5 in a game for Boyd and 2 minutes for Mueller. It looks bad when your league does something like that, and I don't like that, because this is a great league. They should aspire for better. This is why I'm somebody who believes that reviews should be timed. Now, I do get this is a little different. You know, when it's a health and safety concern, you do need to be really particular. But I mean, come on. I am the most biased Charge fan you will find. Okay? I am so biased. Everyone knows this. I am the Ottawa Charge guy. I'm the guy who loves Ottawa. I'm the Steve Dangle of the Ottawa Charge, all right? The guy who's going to lose his mind when we lose games because I'm that passionate. And when we win games, I'm like, oh, we're winning the Walter Cup. Okay? Even I, the most biased fan in the world, can tell you Boyd was getting 5 in a game. She cross-checked a player to the head. If she doesn't get 5 in a game, then nothing is worth. Like, that is textbook. If I was training new referees and they said what gets 5 in a game, I would just show them that clip. That's what I would do. So how did it take them 10 minutes? How did Vasco ever start in the box? How does Mueller go from not in the box, not in the box, back in the box? Like, come on. Come on. We are better than this. We're so much better than this. I hope that doesn't ever happen again. I mean that. I really hope that over this break, there's some internal discussions about how and why that happened, and to make sure that it never happens again. But like I said, the end result didn't change anything. We call off the penalty. More time just kind of gets drained. We take another late penalty. Doesn't do anything. Phillips secures another shutout. Cheyenne Darkangelo with the hat trick. A great game by the Charge. We go into the international break with a point ahead on the playoff race. Not over. It looked like it might have been earlier, and we're right back in it. We got a huge game against Montreal, a massive game against Minnesota. And if we win those 2 games, that would be enough. If we win them both in regulation, that would be enough. Actually, I think if we win the Minnesota game in regulation, that would put us 4 points ahead of them. So then any other win would clinch the playoffs. If we could beat Montreal in overtime and Minnesota in regulation, that would do it. That'd be all she wrote, and we would be a playoff team. We hold tiebreaker on Boston. We hold tiebreaker on Minnesota. I need to double check how many regulation wins Minnesota has, but I'm pretty sure we are like really close. I think we're 1 regulation win away from clinching that no team could catch us in regulation wins in terms of the teams that, you know, are actually jousting position for. And the rest of the season is just 3 games, but it is the most important 3 games until, of course, the playoffs, should we get there. And as always, go, Ottawa, go.